Picture yourself visiting family around Christmas time. It's freezing cold outside. There's a wind so crisp that it gives you the chills. Snow on the ground, lights on the trees and the houses of decorations, Christmas music playing in the car, whole bunch of senses of Christmas joy, right? Now picture yourself in the hospital with your family surrounded by a single hospital bed because your loved one has just been diagnosed with cancer and is terminally ill with a few weeks left to live. Doctors are coming in and out of the room, servicing medicine and checking vitals and telling you and your family that they're doing everything to make your loved one comfortable. But they can't move or talk or do any of the things that they love anymore, let alone tell you whether or not they're actually comfortable. Racking up the medical bills for all the medications and equipment being used to keep your loved one there just a little bit longer. And it may be the last thing on your mind in this unfortunate, vivid scenario, but it's definitely been on the mind of your loved one who lies in that bed. Today, I want to give you another option to consider if you were ever put in an unimaginable situation like this. Doctor-assisted suicide is a very controversial topic, and for many reasons. Many people are just frightened by the name of it because the word suicide is very harsh and it comes off in the wrong way. People don't understand the true meaning and the true definition of doctor-assisted suicide. Death with dignity is for patients who have been diagnosed with terminally ill disease, and they've been given a life expectancy on how long and how much time they have left to live. Many people are on the fence about medical aid in dying because they fear someone who may be depressed will try and use that as a solution, which is obviously not a solution. And people are just unaware of what death with dignity actually is. Jay Pura from Current Oncology gives death with dignity the definition that undertaken only by a physician that intentionally ends the life of a person at his or her request. The state of Oregon actually requires a patient to be referred to a psychiatrist or a psychologist before choosing to make this decision to make sure they're not impaired. Their decision is not impaired by a mental disorder or depression. I actually watched a documentary. It was called How to Die in Oregon. It was based on 1994 Oregon, which is when they first legalized death with dignity. The one state in the United States. My apologies. So at the time, only Belgium, Switzerland, and the Netherlands had actually legalized this practice. Peter D. Richardson's documentary supports the death by dignity by showing how some people in Oregon have used death with dignity, have used the euthanasia, versus how some people have kind of, what's a better word for it, taking advantage of the law. This movie is really heartbreaking to watch two terminal patients. One is choosing to use death with dignity and the other one is not. It's very heartbreaking just to watch them go through the process of should they or should they not, and what each decision comes to what leads next. So now that you know what death with dignity is, and maybe some of the few concerns that people may have with it, not minding your own beliefs, let's talk about the stigma on death with dignity and why it should be changed. It's for patients who have been diagnosed terminally ill. They have a life expectancy. They have a few weeks to live. They have a few months to live. They can't walk. They can't talk. They have a catheter. They can't use the bathroom. They can't take an own shower without help. Many people are just on the fence about this because they're really worried that someone who's depressed is going to try and use this as a solution. But it's not. It's for people who are sick and their lives are practically already over. Doctors want to help their patients. In fact, they have a vow that they have taken to help people in need. Picture having an emotional bond. You're a doctor with your patient. They're lying there in a hospital bed. They don't want to be there anymore because they're in so much pain. Their loved ones don't come to visit anymore because they're in so much pain. They are on medicine. They are eating through a tube. But there's nothing that the doctors can do but give them that medicine because death with dignity is not legal in all states in the United States. But it should be. It should be legalized in all states for the people who are diagnosed as terminally ill. Someone who is terminally ill should not have to think about the medical bills they'll be leaving their loved ones, or have to worry about being in a hospital or on hospice, or put on a brave face that shows no pain or no fear about what's going to come next for them, because they don't want their family members to see them like that. Progress has been made, but it's been stalled over the last few decades. October 25th, 1994, sorry, USA Today released a newspaper on the Oregon Measure 16 that allows doctors to prescribe the medication for death with dignity, but not to actually administer it. That was Pritchard in 1994. Recently, the International Association for Hospice and Palliative Care issued a position statement recommending that no country or state should consider the legalization of euthanasia or physician-assisted suicide until it ensures universal access to palliative care services and to appropriate medications, including opioids for pain and dyskinesia, which is by Oldman J. 2017. Death with dignity should and could be legalized to stop the pain and suffering of terminally ill patients so that loved ones don't have to watch said ill person that they love suffer. In December of 2019, my grandpa was diagnosed with cancer. Upon that diagnosis, he was given 6 weeks to live, in which he lived for 3. By January 9th of 2020, he died at 2 a.m. He was quickly put on hospice. He was unable to walk or talk. Some days he wasn't even really coherent. He grew worse and worse each day. He was clearly suffering. He was suffering before he was diagnosed. He was just in so much pain that I never even went to see him when he was on hospice in his home. I didn't want to distraught the memory I had of him. The memory of him sitting on his favorite chair in the corner of the room, eating the lemon head candies he had all around the house in these cute little jars. The golf on the TV, as always. The cat laser he had that I chased along with the cats. Because at this time, I was so young. I thought it was fun. But I didn't want to remember him laying in that bed with the hospice nurse coming in and out of the room every so hours. I don't know if he would have chosen death with dignity, but I think it would have gave me some kind of closure if maybe he had the option to. To bring things to a conclusion, death with dignity has just been judged so harshly for so long. Maybe some people don't have much of an opinion on it because they've never really witnessed someone they love suffer so much. Or maybe you just really don't know much about it. You don't know what it is. And we need to raise more awareness on what death with dignity is, and that it is for terminally ill, diagnosed patients, not depressed, not young, under 18, that without parental consent. It's for the terminally ill. Medical aid in dying should be legalized so people can focus on their goodbyes and eternal peace that is to come, and not the lingering worry that their loved ones are suffering.